What up, aging adults? So here we go with a little bit of that morning stiffness routine and explaining some of it, the why behind why we're waking up feeling a little stiff. One, obviously, we're not as young as we used to be, right? So anytime we start that aging process, we start having a little bit slower recovery time. There's still a couple things you can do to maximize that recovery every night that you're going to bed so that you wake up and your muscles are a little bit more recovered than they were previously. So we'll talk through that a little bit. The second part is as we continue the aging process, we have environmental factors that continue to pull us into these tight, limited ranges of motion, right? So that's a very huge component. We call it the cross syndrome. So a lot of times, men and female, we start getting this really tight forward shoulder position. Guys, we're always benching out front. We don't really do a lot to open us up out behind us. So over time, we progressively just keep getting tighter, 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 tighter. Females, you have anatomy pulling you in the forward direction, and we continue to get this forward shoulder position. We have to be able to combat that through our daily activities, through our training, and incorporate that kind of stuff into our routines on a daily basis. So forward shoulder, definitely one. Second one, our hip flexors. We start getting this forward pull position here. Our quads start getting tight, our hip flexors start getting tight, and it starts pulling us more and more into this hunched over position at the hip level. Again, we're sitting at office chairs, we're sitting around, scrolling on social media. All of this stuff starts pulling us into this forward hunch position. So we have to consciously open up our hips, consciously open up our shoulders and our spine to reverse that natural gravitation position pulling us here, okay? So let's go through a couple of these things. A lot of times people just say, hey, I need to stretch more, I need to stretch more, I need to stretch more. But really, stretching is just using a range, but it doesn't provide the function. When I start talking about doing mobility training over on this side, now it's how do I actually use my muscles through an extended range of motion so that I have function with the mobility piece, right? So that's where the important part comes in. As we start looking at the most affected areas again, the upper body, the lower body, a lot of people just pull a common quad stretch. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't really help us learn how to use that range of motion. And the physiology behind it, if I don't use ranges of motion, you see this all the time with knees, right? Knees are a big one for the aging adults. If I don't use a full range of motion through a continuous span of my life, what ends up happening is I bring calcium into the joint level and say, hey, you know what? I'm the most efficient possible that I can be with my body, and if I'm not using something, I get rid of it. So my body starts to calcify my joint so that it stops using all this, it doesn't have available excess range of motion anymore. So now at end ranges, you're like, oh man, that's a little bit uncomfortable because your body's starting to get rid of the excess mobility that it has there because you haven't used it. So make sure you keep using end range mobility stuff so your body doesn't start to over-calcify joints and bring in more calcium to stabilize those positions. Okay, so now lack of mobility leads to soreness, stiffness, poor recovery, and ultimately injury, right? So I'm gonna start to get injured on the back end because I don't have the mobility to put through that. So let's go through a couple things just real quick, give you some examples. If I wanna start getting rid of this forward shoulder position, one, I have to be doing pec stretches. I have to open up my chest through this range of motion. But not only do I have to hit the stretch part, this is what we were talking about with the mobility. Now when I'm there, how do I learn how to actually get back and try to start turning on my shoulder scap activators back here so that I can learn how to maintain that position and not just stretch through it. The second part, I have to work on thoracic spine mobility, okay? It's not just about my arms and my shoulders. I actually have to have thoracic spine mobility as well to open me up through that position. So laying off benches, we have a short coming out on this, guys. Just go find the short video. It will give you some exercises to be doing to open up that upper body, the thoracic spine, etc. But in general, laying with a bench or a bed, something right at the bottom of my shoulder blades, and I'm just gonna work on opening up all the way through that range. So now I'm getting my thoracic, cervical mobility going with it and getting the function back through that range. Now let's go down to the hip level, okay? Again, I'm coming forward into this hunched over position. We have to combat that by stretching out my hip flexors, stretching out my quads, and overall alleviating some tension off my hammies. So here we go, going back anywhere in the reverse direction. Again, a lot of people just do a common quad stretch. Not good enough. We have to add in some sort of contract, relax mechanism so that we have some function and mobility there and not just stretching a tight quad, okay? My body's defense mechanism, anytime it starts to feel tension, it says, hey, hold on, I don't know if I can go in here. It goes a little bit defensive there. So we have to build trust saying, hey, dude, I can use this. I can function here and actually regain some of that mobility through that range. Again, lastly, through the knees, so hips, extended out positions here, extended out positions here. Start getting the hammies, start getting the hip flexors through those extended out positions. Now knees, again, there's a couple things that affect the knees. One is quad coming down, hamstring coming down, but then we also have calves coming up across the back of the knee. We have to be addressing all three of those. So if I can be hitting we make a slant board, put my foot up on there, I'm gonna be going down into a single leg stretch position here, get all my posterior chain up into my spine, and I get my calf at the same time. Again, 3 birds, 1 stone. I will take that every time versus just doing a calf stretch or just doing a hammy stretch, etc. So start firing that stuff up. The quad one, lots of ways to do it. Again, find the short, it's gonna explain a lot of this stuff, but you guys can come up here with a banded position. So put a band up above you, put your foot in there, and then just work on a kick against it. Let it come up, relax, get a little bit deeper quad stretch every time. Those are some easy ways to start combating that natural aging functional lost position and get us back that mobility and get rid of some of that stiffness. The last piece here that I want to talk about real quick is just your nutrition. Again, most of us eat dinner around 5, 6 o'clock. By the time we go to bed at that 9, 10 o'clock range, we've already used all the nutrients up and we go to sleep and my body's ready to start rebuilding the house, but it doesn't have the building blocks, doesn't have the lumber to actually build. So now I got a whole crew sitting there ready to go, but they don't have the lumber ready to build my house. So casein protein shakes. Yes, I know you guys aren't high-level performance athletes, most of you I should say, but casein still before bed will help my body recover throughout the night. Now when I wake up, it's gonna be a little bit less stiff than that rigid, stiff morning routine that we've had. All right, guys, get after it. Keep crushing it. If you guys need anything else, reach out. We'll give you everything you need. Later.